All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, today I have a man that I had to invite on my channel, not just because of the information that he contains, because I actually felt embarrassed. Why did I feel embarrassed? Because I was browsing through YouTube for information, and then I came upon information on Vedas, the Vedic literature, and what the different lokas are in our solar system. And it was none other than Santos Bonacci showing us about the Vedas. And not only this, he is an expert. He knows astrotheology, the astrology that involved in the Bible, the historic studies of that. So I felt embarrassed. I'm like, here I am, an Indian, a Hindu, who doesn't know nothing, and this man knows so much more than me. And I'm like, okay, so how can I pay my gratitude to him? And I'm like, okay, I have to invite him so he gets the fame, he gets the recognition, and he gets what he deserves, where people go to him to learn, go to him to get his books, go to him to get a reading from him. And this is why I had to invite you here today.
Thanks, Kafil. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I felt so embarrassed that you know so much. I'm like, beautiful how much you knew.
You have been very, very kind in introducing me. I don't feel that I know very much at all, but I appreciate, I'll take that compliment.
Yes, you should. No, you deserve it. You absolutely should. The very first time I came on YouTube and I typed in astrology, the very first video was from Santos Bonacci, and I'm just like, okay, for 6 hours is watching his lecture. I'm like, oh my, okay. I'm like, he's on a completely different dimension and then Loka talking about astrology. So for all the new audience who do not know who you are, which I'm sure they do, how did you get into the world of astrology and especially astrotheology?
You're going to love this. So going to love this. Okay. So I grew up most of my life as a Jehovah's Witness.
Okay.
Now, we know the Jehovah's Witness stand is the same as all the corporate Christian churches, Baptists, Mormons, Methodists. They're all corporatized. They're all signed up to do the will of the governments, so they're compromised. And so the government agencies tell them what to preach from their pulpits. So they're not free. And so you've got 30,000 Christian denominations. They're all teaching a different Jesus and a different theology, really. They all differ, right? So, but the point is this, the party line that they teach is that astrology is from the devil. This is a dark science from the devil. So the churches are teaching that. On the other hand, the governments, who are run by the same corporate masters, there's only a handful of elite families that control all the corporations, and what they teach through their institutions in the West, not in the East, not in India, because they can't corrupt India. Yeah. Although it has been attacked by the English, the Portuguese, the Dutch, the French, the Muslims, trying to destroy their true theological system and failed. Mm-hmm. But in the West, they teach that astrology is a pseudoscience. So you've got the secularites who are teaching that it's pseudoscience, mm-hmm. and then you've got the religionists who are not secular, supposedly, who teach that it's from the devil. So for 20 years, I would go around with the Watchtower and Awake magazine teaching how astrology is from the devil and proving that it's from the devil, proving through, Bible verses. For instance, there are some verses in the Bible which condemn astrologers. So I point out to people that the Bible does not condemn astrology. Nowhere in the Bible will you find anywhere where astrology, the science, is condemned, because the Bible is full of astrology. It is an astrological treatise par excellence, just like Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Mm-hmm. And so what I say to people is that it's not astrology that's condemned, it's the astrologers, because the astrologers have diluted the word of God. You see, that's what astrology means. Astrologos means the word of God. Just as Jyotish means the science of love.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know that Sanskrit word so well. It's such a beautiful word. Jyotish, the science of light. Right. So if they call it frankly and truthfully the science of light, and in the West we call it astrology, and we don't know what the meaning is, well, you break down the words. Astro is light, stars, bodies of light. God is light. So already astro is alluding to God, which is light. And logos in Greek means the word of. So astrologos is the word of light, God, the word of God. So Jyotish is the science of light, astrology is the word of light. So how did I get into it? Well, I have always noticed the syncretisms in all theologies, even though Jehovah's Witnesses claim that they have the only true religion and all the others are demonized and all the others, worship the devil. I couldn't help but notice the similarities. Krishna, Christo, Kronos. So what's all this kr? Yeah. Kronos, Krishna, Christ, Christus. The Egyptians called Christ Christus. And they acknowledge a Christus thousands of years before the historical Jesus. So all of these things mounted up in my heart. That's where you store things. If you want to keep them forever, you keep them not in your mind, which never forgets also, but you store them in the mind of your heart. And that's why you can say things off by heart, because they're stored in your heart.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so all these details, Krishna and Radharani, Christ and Mary Magdalene, sounds like Radharani, I couldn't help but tabulate and categorize all of these stories and see the similarity. I don't believe in divide and conquer. I don't believe that the variety on the earth, black people, white people, tall, short, is there for a division. It's there to show the unity of God. There's only one source God, but in the Hindu pantheon, there are 330 million gods. So we've got gods and we've got God. Yeah. Well, see, this automatically, the literalist Christians, they will run away from the concept of gods. Ganesha, there he is.
Yeah, I see him in the back too.
There he is.
Yeah.
They will run away from these depictions of the gods because they don't understand that these gods are all serving Krishna, the source God, and Radharani, the source Godhead. Well, it's a trinity, really. It's Krishna, Radharani, and Balaram. So that trinity, you'll find that trinity everywhere. The Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, the Father and the Mother and the Son, Osiris, Horus, and Isis. And so everywhere you go, you see that this Godhead is a triune Godhead. Well, I'll explain that. We'll get to that later.
Like Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva.
Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Creator, preserver, destroyer. Exactly. Now, that Godhead of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, that is a substrate. That is a secondary trinity. Everything in the universe happens by Trinitarian force. Okay? And this is the Trinity force of the universe. Krishna, dielectricity. Radharani, magnetism. Balarama, electricity. And so what you have is the three field modalities of the universe. Nothing else exists in the universe except this trinity of forces, of fields.
I feel like that's something Tesla was also trying to point out.
Yes, he knew this secret, brother. Yeah. See, Tesla knew about the longitudinal standing wave, the scalar wave. See, in society, we know a lot about the Hertzian wave, which was discovered by Hertz, and we call frequency Hertz, okay, because we attribute this transverse wave, this vibration, which is a material wave of electricity, to hertz.
Yeah.
But Tesla's wave was like this. It was a pulse, a horizontal pulse. And that's magnetism. You see, so magnetism, which is above electricity, is a spiritual force. Let me explain this. I'll get my whiteboard. 1 minute.
Sure.
You're going to love this because this is... Astrology is not just a branch of science all on its own and separate from all the rest. Astrology is theology. Krishna is in astrology. Astrology is the mother of all sciences, the science of light, Jyotish. And so if we don't know astrotheology, astrology, theology, alchemy, chemistry, physics, gematria, and all of the sciences, we can never know these things. We will always be separated by degrees from the accurate knowledge of truth. So this world deals in facts. It doesn't deal in truths, and facts are not truth, and truth are not facts necessarily. And so truth is absolute and the ultimate, and that's what astrology teaches. It doesn't teach facts. It teaches truths. And so what you have, we have dielectricity. That's the ether. That's what we call ether, okay? And this is black light, and Krishna is what color? Black.
Black.
Okay. In the second Trinity, Krishna is blue. I'll explain that.
Yeah, because we always see him in a blue-skinned body.
Yes, but the original Krishna, like the original Jesus or the Mary, is a black. You'll always, everywhere you go to Catholic churches all over Europe, and you will see a black Jesus everywhere, harking back to the Krishna color of black, because black is the ether. It is the original light. White is the other half. Hence, when you see the yin and yang,
yeah,
and you'll see black and you'll see white. And this is Krishna and Radharani. And what happens is when these two field modalities, magnetism and dielectricity, when they move against each other abrasively, abrasion causes electrification. So electricity is the third part of the Godhead, but it is the sun. It is the sun because it's a hybrid. It's a temporal force. It's not timeless. It's not eternal. This is eternal. Electricity is an effect. It's a physical effect. So my body, what you see here as Santos Bonacci,
yeah.
This is an electrical bioorganism backed by magnetism. Magnetism is the spiritual force of the universe. Electricity is the physical, material force of the universe. In Krishna science, in Bhagavad Gita, you learn about God's three energies. His internal spiritual energy, his marginal force, and his material force. Well, there it is. There is only this. There is no other subject. There's no subject ever uttered or topic or conversation other than this. Only this exists.
So the entire universe, you're saying, exists on this. So even an alien species that might be 1,000,000 times more advanced than us, they will still go by this basic law.
Absolutely. There is only one Godhead, Krishna and Radharani, and they are dielectric and magnetic. So some people will be horrified. They'll say, oh, how can you say that Radharani, the Queen of Heaven, is just a simple force, magnetism? Magnetism is not a simple blind force. It is unlimited intelligence. It is unlimited omniscience, omnipotence, and omnipresence. This God that we have, of the creator of the universe, is unlimited, unqualified, and unconditioned. We are conditioned because we are godlets. We are droplets, like little drop of water from the ocean, same molecule, same composition, but not the same quantity. Hence, we are God in quality, totally, but not in quantity. We are droplets of God, or godlets. And so the magnetic standing wave goes like this. It is horizontal. See, the other wave, the Hertzian wave, the physical wave, it has dimension, depth.
Right.
It has vertical components. And so this is electricity. When you see the cross, the Holy Cross, well, what's the cross? The cross is a symbol of spirit and matter coming together to make a human being. We are spiritual and we are physical. So this pulse, that is magnetism, and they work together like a coaxial electrical circuit. So magnetism is behind electricity, which creates physical phenomena. So the longitudinal wave, this longitudinal wave, it has no vibration. It is a pulse. And so it has compression and rarefaction, like a breath, like the breath of Brahma. This is why we have the word breath. Breath is bra, theos, the god Brahma breathing physical worlds. And so when Brahma breathes out for 8.5 billion years, we have a world, and then he withdraws that world back into the spiritual dielectric black light. So what we have here, Kapil, is we have the breath of the spiritual breath of the Creator expressing itself horizontally. Hence, there is no speed of light here. Magnetism is instant all around the universe. When scientists speak about the speed of light, they're talking about that speed, the transverse Hertzian wave, which it does hurt. It does hurt because it's physical. This is the illusion light. This is the Maya. This is where all physical creations exist of Brahma. Krishna is not partaking in this creation. He is the prime source creator. And he expands into Brahma. And then Brahma has the role of creating physical worlds. So what we have, brother, is this. It's quite simple. We have black light, which works together with white light, and their child is red and blue. Red and blue light. So when you see Krishna and Lord Chaitanya as hermaphrodites, it's always red and blue. So you'll always see Shiva is red, Krishna is blue, the devil is red, and Shiva is, close to Shatan or Satan, as in Satananda. Satananda means Shiva is Satananda because he's not Sat Chitananda, which is Krishna. Krishna is complete in all aspects. So this Satananda gives us the word Satan. And see, the color of that God, the color of the electricity, this is electricity. Balarama, the child of Krishna and Radharani. And so when you hear scientists talking about black energy, dark matter, black holes, black this, black that, black, well, they're on the right track, but not entirely correct. They are still misleading us because what they don't realize is that these are not colors. These lights here, they do not have vibration. They are longitudinal wave expressions. They're not transverse. Electricity is red and blue. Up here is red and down here is blue. So when you see my presentations, I always do my astrotheology presentations. Now, I know you invited me to talk about astrotheology. So,
No, I just want you to go whatever you want to talk about. Yeah, nothing.
Great, brother. And that's my birds out there.
Yeah, beautiful.
They come for a feed. Yeah, they come for a feed every day. So, if you've seen my presentations, you see I always do an equator like this.
Yeah, and then you make the line up and down with the sun going up and down of the equator, below the equator and above the equator.
Yes, brother. And why? Why does the wave always feature in my presentations? Because this is the only way to understand all things, and how electricity propagates through the universe to create this Mayan illusion, this Mayavadi experience, which is temporal. We have to understand that whatever is physical in Brahma's universes, he's created billions of universes, unending. And this is only one universe that we live in. And so they are temporal. They are not timeless. And so what happens is, this is the Tropic of Cancer. The Tropic of Cancer is always on top. And this is the Tropic of Capricorn. And we know that the sun journeys yearly. We always start the sun's journey at the equator on March the 21st. That's the equinox. These are the sacred 4 days, okay? So we start here and we climb up. It takes 3 months. Hey! They get very...
They want food.
Well, there's always the top feeders and the bottom feeders. So there's a pecking order with those birds. And sometimes they get very bossy. When birds that don't have high pecking order come on their territory, they fight them and they make a lot of noise. So what we have here is the sun's yearly journey. I'll keep it simple, and I'll try and not go too much into detail. But what we have here is, when the sun reaches the top here on June the 21st, that's the solstice. So there's 3 months of journeying for the sun from equinox to solstice. And so that's the spring. And then this is the summer. This quadrant here. This quadrant here is the summer. And then another 3 months, this quadrant is the autumn, and this one is the winter, okay? Yeah. So we have now the 4 seasons. So what we have is equinox, solstice, equinox, solstice. Now, all intelligent people relate to this. We learn this at school, and we know this. So what we have is the yearly cycle. Now, what we need to do is we have to also put the day on this cycle, and that's simple. It's so obvious that the day will start with the morning at 6 a.m. over here. This is 6 a.m. Mm-hmm. This is midday, 12 p.m. Here is 6 p.m. sunset, and this is midnight, 12 a.m. Okay. So you have the day is exactly the same. It's mimicking the year. So once you have that, now you can fill in all the important details. What we do is if we bring this graph around like this, now what we have is we have the spiritual axis, the horizontal longitudinal wave, and we have this physical wave, which is material. Yeah. And so what you do now is you fill these in with all the fine details like this. And all the astrologers already know how to fill in the details because they know, they have studied their signs very well, and they know that the first one here is Aries. Aries is always number one. It's the Lamb of God. And over here is Libra. And so this is fire and air. And so this is the spiritual axis of every wave, thought wave, emotion wave, water wave, whatever kind of wave, because it's a wave universe. There's no particles. Particles do not exist. There is not a photon of light. A photon of light does not exist. It's a wave of light. It's a rippling wave of light, and it's magnetic and electric. It's two kinds of light. Magnetic light is white light. Electric light is red and blue because it has polarity. Red and blue is physical polarity. Red blood, blue blood.
Yeah.
Red blood, blue blood. Okay? So, and here we have Cancer, and here we have Capricorn, and these are the four cardinal signs. And so Cancer is water, Capricorn is earth, and so you can see that this, the wave amplitude gives you the feminine sign of matter. Matter, this is the Sanskrit word for mother in Sanskrit.
Mata,
Mata. And Gomata is the mother cow, because Taurus is the next sign. It's the cow or the bull. So you've got the lamb and you've got the bull, and these are the two most sacred animals in theology because they are the first. Aries is here, the cerebrum, and Taurus is the cerebellum, the lower mind. Okay, and then Gemini is the twin hands. They look like twins, yeah? And that's, so you start with Aries at the head and you go all the way to Pisces at the feet. And that's the body. The body is here. I'll show you that. Just 1 minute. Excuse me for this. I should have this ready.
No problem.
I keep all of these for shows like this. So this is from an old occult book that I have. It's called The Light of Egypt by Thomas H. Burgoyne, and he lived in the 1800s, and he was instructed by great Jyotish astrologers and Hindu scholars. And so what you have is Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, the belly, Libra, the kidneys, Scorpio, the generative system, Sagittarius, the hips, hips. The horse is hippo and hence the hips. Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. So when you do it like that, you have exactly the same teaching. So you see, the human body, as above, so below, is a replica of the wave of the universe, the electrical waves of the universe. Hence, this is why you have the South Korean flag, where the yin and yang is in blue and red. And red is above and blue is below, because this is the material world. This is not the spiritual world. The spiritual yin and yang is black and white, and that's Krishna and Radharani. This is Balarama, the world of Balarama, and he is an expansion of Krishna, and that expansion of Krishna is what produces then, Vishnu, Narayan, Shiva.
Really, I thought Vishnu was the first one that created and came in being, and from his belly Brahma was created.
Yes, that's true. Yes. It is. Krishna is God. Vishnu is God. Yes. So,
so how did Krishna came about? Krishna is above Vishnu, or is it the same personification of Vishnu?
all is Krishna. We are all expansions of Krishna. Everything is Krishna. There is nothing that is not Krishna. Krishna is the black light, the source light that creates all things. Krishna is the ether, the 0 point, the intelligence of the universe, the personality behind all of creation, the source of all things. Krishna is the source. Radharani is the force, because magnetism is a force. The source and the force, they always work together, the black and white, yin and yang. And so
the poster you showed me had a snake. Did that snake represent the north and south of the moon, like Rahu and Ketu? What was the snake was about that you just showed?
it's the dragon of Rahu. The beheaded head is Rahu, the north node, and the body or the tail of is Ketu. And so this black sun is in our solar system, and it's causing the eclipses. It's causing many phenomena that that people don't understand, and especially in particular astrologers. Astrologers are still not understanding the full science of astrology, and simply because they have become heliocentrists.
Yeah.
Whereas astrology is geocentric.
Because we think it's Earth becoming between sun and moon and causing that shadow of eclipse. But you're saying there's actually a black sun that comes over.
Yeah, of course. It's Rahu and Ketu.
Wow.
Yeah. So what we do then is what we see now. So we see the physical axis of our bodies and the spiritual axis. So when you see the cross, the Celtic cross like this, what you're seeing is actually the physical and the spiritual nature of mankind manifesting in this physical world. So what we do now is we fill out all the spaces. We've got Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and those are the spring months. Then we've got Cancer at the Tropic of Cancer. Then we've got Leo here and Virgo, and these are all the day signs. So Aries to Virgo is the day signs. They have to do with the daylight, extrovertedness, and they have to do basically with the hot part of the day, or just basically the part where the sun is illuminating the skies. And these are all the dark signs. So starting with Libra, and then you've got Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. Now, just to keep things simple, I'll stop there, and we can refer back to this graph as we proceed. But on here is all astrotheology, all the books that you've ever read, Mahabharata, Ramayana, all of them.
Yeah.
They are all on here. Nothing is not on here. All the stories of Krishna are here. All the Christian stories are here. All the Buddhist stories are here. Alchemy is here. Nursery rhymes are here. I can tell you Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs are here. King Arthur and his 12 knights are here. Hercules and his 12 labours are here. Jesus and his 12 disciples are here. It's all here. So if we want to choose a particular story, I can explain it. But let's perhaps go into detail and particulars maybe another time, or we can
absolutely
now. But first, I want to firmly establish this science and explain how important it is to get back to basics and to understand the universe, how it really wants to be understood.
Yeah.
Now, what do I mean by that? Well, we need to understand the secrets of light, the science of light, Jyotish. That's where we have to ground ourselves. If we're not grounded in light, we will never understand natural science. And basically that's what you and I are. We are natural scientists. We can call ourselves astrologers. We can call ourselves alchemists. And we can have all these fancy names, but essentially we're just natural scientists. And within nature is the supernatural. So you've got the supernatural or the transcendental, stuff we can't see. And then we've got nature, which we can see because these eyes are limited. When we use the two eyes of red and blue, we can only see physical things. When we use the one eye, the unity eye, then we can see the white light and the black light. In meditation, when you use this eye, there's only two colors that really appear, and that is the white light of Brahma, the Brahmajyoti, or the Brahmananda, and or the black light, depending. But you don't usually see blue and red light with this. You see it here, because everything you see in the physical world is made by red and blue light. Because red and blue light vibrate. They have a vibration, a frequency. And blue light is a high capacitance light. Its frequency is very short and very frequent, its energy signature. Mm-hmm. Therefore, it has more capacitance. Red light is a very long wave and very slow wave, and it has very little capacitance. But together, and this is why your throat chakra is blue, the top of your torso chakra is blue, the bottom of your torso chakra is red.
Red, yeah.
So your torso already understands the science of red and blue because it is made by red and blue. And hence, everything physical and material has a frequency, an electrical frequency, and hence is produced by the two colors of red and blue. This is why you'll see red and blue everywhere. The Republican Party is red, the Democratic Party is blue. The ambulance has a red and blue siren. The tap there in my kitchen has red for hot,
blue for, yeah,
and blue for cold. So red represents fire and blue represents water, two of the elements of astrology. Mm-hmm. And so we see how fire and water are the generative and destructive agents of the universe. Fire is generative and water is just destructive. Mm-hmm. And then earth and air are the other components of the four elements that we have. And so essentially the four elements are basically just different rates of light energy. Fire is the highest frequency of light energy, and fire emanates light. Then there's air, and air is not as high vibrating as fire in the elemental table. But both of these are not tangible, hence they are spiritual and masculine. Whereas water and earth are solid and liquid, tangible, hence whatever is matter is material. And so when you understand that the red and blue electrical light causes all physical phenomena, then you inquire as to the source of this light. Where does it come from? Why do we say that God is light? Mm-hmm. I used to say that when I was a Jehovah's Witness. John 4:8. God is light, one of the shortest verses in the Bible. And yet most churchgoers, they don't want to discuss what that means. They don't want to, because they don't want to understand that light is the creator. The source creator is black light, dark light. He is the source creator. The force creator, you know, in Star Wars they say, let the force be with you.
Yeah.
And they've got these white swords. Well, that's because the only force that exists is magnetism. There is no other force that is back of electricity, producing electrification. And so I want to read something to you.
Yeah.
by a genius called Ken Wheeler. Ken Wheeler is the only man in history that has explained magnetism satisfactorily. You can see his material on YouTube. His YouTube channel is called Theoria Apotheosis. I post his videos all the time on my Facebook page, and I push and promote his work because he is the only man to explain magnetism. So my explanations mostly come from Ken Wheeler. And he has a book which is free online, and it's called Uncovering the Missing Secrets of Magnetism. So he's gone beyond Tesla, Faraday, Maxwell, Steinmetz, Heaviside, and all the great electromagnetic gurus.
Michael Faraday, yeah, he was the one who actually invented the battery, I believe. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And they are the guys who have got all these calculations and done all these experiments to prove the magnetic field modality that exists and the ether. But Ken Wheeler, he stands on their shoulders, and this is how he explains the three field modalities. Hang on, I'll sort out these birds.
Sure.
Right, get out. Go. Get lost.
You're such a Tungo Punko Yeshi.
This is live TV, man.
I know.
So I had to get rid of them. They're making too much noise. And they'll be back. So this is Ken Wheeler. I'll read slowly.
Okay.
Magnetism is dimensional. The dielectric is intradimensional, or in counter space. And only when these two ether fields move against each other over time is there electrification, which is the ether in a modality of dynamic polarization. Okay, so I'll read it again.
Mm-hmm.
Magnetism is dimensional, the dielectric is intradimensional, or in counter space. And only when these two ether fields move against each other over time is there electrification, which is the ether in a modality of dynamic polarization. What's he saying? Okay, well, we already know that magnetism is white light. It's a force. And we already know that the dielectric is the black light, and it's the source. So what we have is the black light seeks to suck in and converges and is centripetal. It's centripetal. All the light comes back into one source, one point. Okay? And that is the source creator, who is everywhere. Everywhere in the universe is Krishna. The source is everywhere. The creator is omnipresent. So when the black-white light and the white light move, when these two ether field modalities move against each other over time, they produce an effect which is red and blue light, which is electricity, which is what he calls the ether in a modality of dynamic polarization. Let me explain what that means. This is the ether, magnetic light. This is magnetism. This is electricity. This is static. This is dynamic. So the swastika, when it's like this, that's static. But when the swastika is like this, as Hitler made it, because Hitler was on the march. Hitler,
it was rolling forward.
Exactly. So it's no use having a static swastika, a Shiva. This is from Shiva. This is the energy of Shiva. It's no use having that if you want to mobilize your country. You make it dynamic. So what Ken Wheeler was saying is that the black and white light, they can only produce the effect, the Mayan effect of matter through electricity, their son. They have a child. And this is the child of God. And God is not just a boy. God is boy-girl. And this is what Islam tried to destroy in India because the Hindus were teaching this. Excuse me.
Yeah. Hey!
I love them. I love the birds, but there's no need for them to be making noise because I fed them in the morning, and so they should be satisfied. But they're just trying to
I know.
Trying to be the boss of the food. So let me just explain one more thing, brother, and this will help all students. Whether they are tropical astrologers or sidereal astrologers, it doesn't matter.
I wanted to ask you that actually question. I'm like, you have so much information on the Vedas, the Vedic literature, the Vedic science. What is your opinion on the fact that Vedic is 23.5 degrees behind the tropical, and why that difference, and does it even matter?
Yeah, we can go into that.
Okay.
Yep, that will be my pleasure to go into that. In order for me to do that, if you want to do it today, that's fine. But I reckon it requires a whole.
No, but in a short form, what is your opinion on it?
For sure. Before we do that though, this is how you understand what Ken Wheeler is saying. How can dielectricity and magnetism, spiritual force of the universe combined, produce electricity, which is the material force of the universe? So basically what I'm saying is electricity is an inferior force to magnetism, which is a transcendental superior force. Well, you know about the torus field, don't you?
Yeah.
That's basically a torus, okay? And the torus has a core. So if you get a magnet, every magnet has a torus field surrounding it. And so this looks like an hourglass. Here you see the hourglass in the middle.
Yeah.
And then you have the torus going around here like this, all these lines, this flux of magnetism.
Right.
So what you have, if this is a magnet, this is what's called the dielectric inertial plane. Dielectric inertial plane. What that means is here, this point here, this is what attracts. This is what they call magnetic attraction. It's this point here doing all the attraction. This is counter space. This is Krishna hiding, the black light. This is the black light. The white light is all of this. And so what Ken Wheeler calls this, he calls this the hyperboloid torus. This is the hyperboloid here. This thing here, and that is the torus. And together, these two shapes are what produces, these are donuts. This is like a donut. See, there's a hole here in the middle of the donut.
Yeah.
This is like an hourglass in the middle. And then this is the field that it creates, you see? Right. And so...
kind of like an electromagnetic field of the earth. Exactly the same way.
It's a torus field. Your body has a torus field around it. This is your heart. Your heart is here. And your head is here. And then your feet are over here. And you have this massive torus field, which is centered in your heart, which is your core. Like this is an apple. You can see it looks like an apple. All right. And the apple has the seeds in the middle. That's the apple core. Core is just another way of saying heart. Cuore in Latin means heart. Cardiac,
Yeah.
car, core, apple core. These are the apples of Apollo. Apollo is Krishna, another way of saying Krishna, God. And so all throughout the universe, all matter, all of it is atomic. This is an atom. All is atum. The Egyptians said all is atum. The Hindus say all is om. Well, atom, om, amen, amen, om. There it is there in the om of Sanskrit, just above the head of Ganesha. So scientists will tell you that an atom consists of three things: neutron, proton, electron. Okay, so let's have a look at that, shall we?
Okay.
That's the Trinity. They're right. They are right, but not entirely right. They're only half right. They're always only dealing in half-truths. It's up to guys like you and I who are true transcendental scientists, not material scientists. All those guys out there talking about atoms and shit, they are all materialists.
Right.
That's what Bhagavad Gita calls them, dog eaters, because they are heavily involved in eating the dead flesh, the dead corpses of animals. And so their intelligence is very, very low, and they are materialists. So you and I, we are transcendental scientists. That's what astrology is. It's a transcendental language, language of the gods.
Absolutely.
And so how do we see this? Well, we already know how this works. These are always together, yeah? The neutron is always stuck to the proton. Well, there's pro. When you see tron, ton, tron, well, that's just another way of saying aton, ton, ton, ton. This neutral, this is Krishna. This is Radharani, Ra, pra, pro, and that's magnetism. This is the dielectric, this is the magnetic, and this is the electron is the electric. So you've got we have a word in the West. It's you'll see it everywhere. It goes like this: is Ra El. Well, only a syncretist can see what that is.
Yeah.
Krishna.
Yeah.
So that's the neutron. He is neutral. Wait a minute, let's do this properly so we don't confuse people. There's is, Ra, Radha. What does Radha mean in Sanskrit?
She's the devotee of Krishna, as far as I know.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
She is the consort, not the wife. Krishna has other wives, but Radharani is not the wife.
She's not a pure devotee of him. Yeah. That's why neutron and proton are always together. They need each other.
That's right. Is and Ra, is Ra, and El is Bel. In the West, we have, you call him Balarama. Ram is the ram or the lamb of God. Balaram. We call it Baal, bell. You know, the ding dong bell on the church. Why is it called bell? Because it's when you go to church, you go to learn about electricity, and Baal and Bel and Balaram. This is the eternal God of electricity who has always been in existence. We didn't make up these names. And so what you have now is Krishna, Radha in Sanskrit. You know what that means? It means soul. So soul. Radha, Radharani. Radha means soul. And we have a word for our sun, and it is soul, solar, the solar flares. Soul comes from solo, because the sun is on his own. Moon comes from mono, which means on its own. This is a Greek word. This is a Latin word. So Latin solo, the sun is solo, and Greek moon is mono. The moon is alone and the sun is alone. They are unique.
Yeah.
So what I'm showing is that Krishna is the moon, Radharani is the soul, because Radha means soul, and the sun is white light, the moon is black light, the moon is cold, withdrawing, counterspatial light, the sun is expanding, radiating, magnetic force, white light, and Saturn is the third part of the Trinity. Saturn is electrical. That's why so many people hate Saturn and think that Saturn is evil, because Saturn produces the material. Saturn is responsible for all the material coagulation and all of the solid things that exist in the timeline of the universe. Saturn is the supreme, basically he is Krishna in his highest archetype. So when we look at the neutron and the proton and the electron, we are seeing Krishna, Radharani, and Balaram, the only trinity that exists in the universe, producing the universe. And in our solar system, we have the sun and the moon and Saturn. Always, they are always together, and you'll see them. The Jesuits have a motto which goes like this. Not a motto, a monogram, or what do you call them? Their symbol. It's IHS. Well, that's Isis, Horus, and Set. Isis is the moon, Horus is the sun, we know that, and Set is Saturn. So always, all trinities are the sun and the moon and Saturn. The neutron, the proton, and the electron. The dielectric field, the magnetic field, and the electric field. And nothing else exists. There's no other subject. There's nothing else to talk about. And when these field modalities produce phenomena, they always manifest astrologically. All cycles of nature, which are produced by the pulse of the longitudinal wave, they all manifest in torus fields, and torus fields are nothing but the expression of energy. Aries is always here. This is Aries. From here, from the center, from God, black light, for 30 degrees along the torus field, that's Aries. This is Taurus, this is Gemini, this is Cancer, this is Leo, and this is Virgo. And Libra is always the scales of balance, because Libra is always on the outside of the torus field here, dividing the top half from the bottom half. And then you've got Libra, Scorpio is here, Sagittarius is here, Capricorn, Aquarius, and then Pisces gets sucked back into the center and it starts again. So while the energy is going out this way, it's coming in contemporaneously at the same time. So the torus field, the atom, this is an atom, is nothing other than cycles, and cycles manifest themselves in sections of 12. It's a 12ness. The universe is all about 12. Everything unfurls in a 12ness. Not Not 13, not 14, not 11, 12. It's the sacred number.
And this is why that new zodiac sign that they came out, the scientist, you know, the 13th constellation and all that. I'm like, come on, really? I mean, everything is just there for a reason from the essence since we were here. You know,
Kapil, the 13 sign stuff that they're talking about, this comes from NASA. NASA is an agency that is known for its ridiculing of astrology. They ridicule astrology. They want people to think that astrology is nothing but buffoonery.
yeah.
They like to make fools of astrologers and the science of astrology. So this is their big coup to destroy astrology by diluting it and watering down the sacred science which was given to us by far wiser school of ancient gurus and teachers who taught the science naturally as it should be. And this is how we understand astrology, through that sine wave. If we do not understand the ecliptic of the sun and the path that it makes yearly and daily, we will never understand astrology. We have to understand astrology naturally as a language. It's a natural science. So, for instance, well, let me show you I have a graphic that I have made, and there it is on my wall.
Okay. Yeah.
There, can you see that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so what we have there, I don't have enough cord to go closer to it.
No, that's
but
fine. You can see it.
Yeah. So you can see the human body in there, can't you? The head there. So there's Aries, there's Taurus, and there's Gemini. So this is the spring. You see, it says there's spring, and so spring. So this is the spring.
Yeah.
There's the head. There's the cerebrum, ruled by Aries. There's the cerebellum, the smaller brain, ruled by Taurus. And so this is how we need to explain things to young astrologers, not with airy-fairy, stupid ideas that are not based in nature. Astrology is based in the cycle, the sine wave of nature. And so every morning from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., Aries is the ruler. So in the morning we have fire, cardinal fire. People go to work.
Yeah.
So they wake up in the head. That's where you wake up, in the head, every morning at between 6 and 8. Okay, so symbolically. Okay, this is symbolic. So and then Taurus is the mouth. So you have breakfast. You see, you feed the mouth.
Yeah.
And then Gemini is the hands. So you use your hands to build a house. And so you see the order of everything. So what you actually teach your young students is that the morning is always tempered by these three signs. Aries first, sunrise. You see the sun coming up in the east. Between 6 and 8 is the fiery energy of Aries. And then between 8 and 10, everything calms down. You have a smoko break. You have a lunch in the morning, a little breakfast. You eat. Taurus, you calm down. It's solid, it's earthy, it's feminine. You relax. It's more relaxed and subdued. This is the Japanese people. They're very smart. The owners of their factories and industry. What they do is they work with aromas. In the morning, they put some aromas in their air conditioners to keep people between 6 and 8. They put aromas that relax them, because they're too fiery, they can make mistakes. So in their air conditioning system, they have aromas that are relaxing. Between 8 and 10, they put a different aroma through their air conditioning system. And every 2 hours or so, they put different aromas depending on how people work along this sine wave. Because the energy, the starting energy of the morning is very explosive. It's airy and it's fire. And then you calm down and you eat. And then before lunch, you go back and you do a lot more work. It's Gemini. It's very feisty energy. And then Cancer comes along at midday, and that's feminine. And this is where in Greece and Italy, they shut their shops and they go home, have lunch and sleep.
Absolutely, they do that. Yeah.
At 2 o'clock, Leo, the lion, fire. Between 2 and 4 every day is the hottest part of the day. So again, fire in the morning to wake you up. Fire between 2 and 4, where Leo rules every day. And so this is the hottest part of the day. And then Virgo is the part where from 4 to 6, where you relax, everything gets dark, the sun sets. Bang. Libra. And see, that's the sun setting. See the symbol of Libra?
Yeah.
What is it? Well, it's the symbol of the sun setting. And so let's go back to that, shall we?
Between late dark and light.
Yeah, and then when you look at these signs, let's have a look at this, shall we?
Yeah.
So if we can teach people this way, which is the only way, really, the natural way of teaching people, always look at the sine wave. Always look at energy and how it unfurls. It always repeats. There's no other order. You can't put Pisces first. You can't put that will always be Aries. And so every wave that is generated from a 0 point always starts with fire. Fire is God, the creator. The fire is the generator.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and then when you come over here, you've got Libra. Does that look like the sun setting?
Yes.
Right. And which planet exalts in Libra?
Saturn.
Which planet exalts in Aries?
Sun.
So here you've got Horus. The sun is called Horus. Horus, which gives you the word hour. And while I'm on the point here, I'll just show you something. You know how I showed you before that every 2 hours we have a different guru, a different planet ruling?
Yeah, the hourly auras.
You call them auras, don't you?
Auras, yeah. That's how the weekdays came about. That's how why do we have a Sunday and after Sunday week comes Monday? It's all about the aura.
Well, if you've got a smartphone, you can get an application which is called Aura Watch.
Okay. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, Aura Watch.
Okay.
Om Shanicharaya Namaha. Om Shanicharaya Namaha. Om Shanicharaya Namaha.
So,
Om
Shanicharaya, who's that?
Saturn.
So right now in Australia, the order, the 2 hours that I'm in now, it's 11 a.m. here, belongs to Saturn. In 1 hour's time, the rulership will go to the next guy, who is Jupiter, because Jupiter always follows Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
So if we go to I recommend this is a free application.
Okay.
So what this auto watch is doing is it's teaching you to chant to the right God every hour or every 2 hours of the day. See, this now is in Australia. This is the 2 hours for Saturn. Next will be Jupiter. So it will be Om Gurave Namahe.
Yeah.
And then Mars, Om Mangalaya Namahe. And so already the smart astrologers are already making applications for this science so that we can actually live in harmony with the stars, and so that we don't offend the gods by living out of harmony with them. We have to be in harmony with the gods, and hence with God. So what you've got here is the sun exalts in Aries, and Saturn, which is called Set, exalts in Libra. So when the sun arises on the horizon, arise, horizon, horizon, arise, Horus in the east, and Saturn is every day where Libra is, where the sun set is, because Saturn is the ruler of the dark underworld here, and the sun is the ruler of the top half. Hence the exaltation of both of these two twin brothers, Horus and Set. Horus and Set. There's always a war between Jesus and Satan, Horus and Set. And so the Christians, they always have their temples facing the east, where the sun rises, and the Muslims, when they pray, they always face the west.
West, yeah.
Because their God is the dying God, which is the opposite of the living God. It doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that they acknowledge the dichotomy of this universe. And so what I'd like to share with you, Kapil, is some ancient wisdom from an ancient tropical astrologer called Bonacci from the 12th century. So this is 800 years.
Wow.
And I'd like to read this because these astrologers, they teach exactly the same way astrology as I'm teaching it with the sine wave and the natural science. So unless we go back to nature, we're lost.
We're lost. We absolutely are.
We're lost. So this is what he says. I hope I can do this without my little glasses. In chapter 5 of his book, I think he only has this one book on basic astrology.
Yeah.
Now, you got to remember, this guy was a contemporary of Dante. This is 300 years before Da Vinci and Michelangelo. So Italy was well versed in this beautiful science. It's only been in the last few hundred years that the Jesuits have persecuted astrology in witch hunts and ridiculed the science of astrology. They use astrology themselves.
Yeah.
The Pope, they all use astrology because they know the true science. But in the public arena, they want you to believe one of two lies, that it's a pseudoscience or it's from the devil.
Devil. That's it.
Like the devil is interested in natural science. The devil doesn't give a shit about natural science.
Exactly.
Okay. So here we go. It was stated in the preceding why the signs are exactly 12, neither more nor less, and why the elements are only 4. Now, however, it remains to say in this chapter why the signs are so ordered and disposed. So he's trying to explain, why does Taurus come after Aries? Why does Earth come after fire? It should be air, because air is the natural element next in line.
Mm-hmm.
So he's saying it's a little bit confusing, but let me have a go at explaining why. The ordering of or disposition of the signs begins from the fiery ones. As Abu Mashar said, Abu Mashar was a Persian astrologer, lived a couple of thousand years ago, about 1,200 years ago. And the fiery ones were put at the beginning, then the earthy ones, then the airy ones, then the watery ones. So we've got Aries, fire, Taurus, earth, Gemini, air, Cancer, water. Why are they just ordered in such a way? But you could ask, why didn't the sages order the signs according to the order of the elements, by beginning from the fiery ones, then from the airy ones, then from the watery ones, then from the earthy ones, according to how the elements are successively posited in their own natural order? Indeed, the reasons which moved the sages to ordering them thusly were many, of which one was because the elements receive corruption and alteration from the motions, and by the continual and restless revolution of the signs and the heavens. And because of that corruption and alteration, the four qualities which happen to elemental bodies came to be, namely, generation, conservation, corruption, and destruction. So what he's saying here is that this is the order of the universe. Everything generates, everything is conserved. So you've got Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the preserver.
Mm-hmm.
Conserving means to preserve, same thing. Corruption, then destruction. So he's saying Aries is generation, Taurus is conservation, Gemini is corruption, and Cancer, water, is destruction. And because generation is more noble than the other qualities of elemental things, they began from the signs through which generation comes to be, and those are fiery ones. And the quality which is noble next to generation is durability or conservation, and it comes to be from the signs through which the motion of nature to conservation or durability comes to be, and those are the earthy ones. So earth will always follow fire. It's the natural order. Generation is always followed by durability or conservation, preservation. Call it what you will. And the quality which is ignoble and after durability is corruption. And it comes to be from the signs through which nature is moved to corruption, and those are the airy ones. And the more ignoble, or rather worse quality, which is after corruption, is destruction. And it comes to be from the signs through which nature is moved to destruction, and those are the watery ones. Another reason why it had to begin from the fiery signs and end with the watery signs is because heat and coldness are agents, but dryness and moisture are patients. And since heat is the stronger agent, it deserved to be the preferred one of the agents. Likewise, since dryness is a strong patient, it deserved to be put in the front of the patients. And because generation precedes durability, the signs signifying generation were put before the signs signifying durability. And because corruption precedes destruction, the signs signifying corruption were put before the signs signifying destruction. And thus, since generation is the beginning of every generable and endable thing, the signs signifying destruction were put last. Moreover, the fiery signs were put at the beginning because heat rules in fire, by which bringing to life comes to be. And the earthly signs were put immediately after the fiery ones on account of the affinity which they have with fire because of the dryness ruling with them. And the watery ones were put last, as they are directly opposite the fiery ones in position of place, just as they are opposite them directly in nature. And the airy ones were put before the fiery ones on account of their affinity, the affinity which they have with them because of moisture. And thus, both agents were put at the ends and the patients between each. These are the reasons which moved the sages of this profession to make the ordering of the signs in this way, namely by putting the fiery ones, then the earthy ones, then the airy ones, then the watery ones, and the fiery ones by putting Aries first, and of the earthy ones by putting Taurus first, and of the airy ones by putting Gemini first, and of the watery ones by putting Cancer first, on account of the seasons assigned above. All right, let's make that simple. I had to read it because it comes from the source.
Right.
So let's make that simple. So we've got 4 elements and we've got 4 humours. Hot and cold are humours which are positive. Positive. Okay, so hot and cold, and dry and moisture, they are, sorry, I shouldn't say positive. I should say active. Active.
Mm-hmm.
Hot and cold is active. So Aries is hot and cold. The sun is hot and cold. Saturn's cold and dry. Sorry, the sun is, what am I talking about? Excuse me. The sun is hot and dry. Aries is hot and dry. Excuse me. I'm not thinking. I have to slow down and think. Aries is hot and dry. All the fire signs are hot and dry. So they have an active humour and a passive humour. Bonacci calls them patients and agents. He calls hot and cold agents, and he calls dry and moist patients. I don't know if you can see that very well, but anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is how all great astrologers treat people medically. In medical astrology, all you have to know is the 4 humours: hot, cold, dry, and moist. So, for instance, if you've got in your chart, let's say you've got the sun in Aries and it's squaring with Saturn in Cancer. So you know that the sun is hot and dry and Aries is hot and dry. So I'm from Aries. I was born on March the 24th. So there's a lot of, I've got a Leo ascendant and I've got Aries sun, Pisces moon, but I've got a lot of these agents, a lot of hot and cold in my chart. Okay, I've got water and fire mostly. Earth and air is limited in my chart. But so you can see that my constitution, I'll be very skinny and I'll have a fast metabolism because I've got exceeding fire in my chart. And so, but if you've got Saturn who is cold and dry and more dry, Saturn is cold and dry. So Saturn now, so Aries is the head. So possibly this person will suffer with migraines. And they know that they've got a square from Saturn, which is cold and dry. So what they need to do, if they're getting migraines because of this coldness, all they have to do is take Chinese herbs for the mind, maybe potassium or something. I don't know. I don't know if potassium, I think potassium is actually hot and dry. Mm-hmm. But they would have to take an element which is cold, or they would have to knock out the coldness of Saturn to bring the balance back.
I see.
You see? Okay, so Paracelsus 500 years ago, he cured all kinds of diseases with this astrological wisdom, just knowing the humours. So if someone had a wet stomach, for instance, that was Virgo, and Cancer. Cancer rules the stomach and digestion, and so does Virgo. So what he does is he looks in the chart, and if he sees what planets are there in Virgo and Cancer, And say if he's got if Saturn is in Cancer, that's terrible because Saturn hates Cancer. Saturn loves Capricorn, opposite. Saturn is in detriment in Cancer. So people with Cancer, a badly aspected Cancer, Saturn in Cancer, they will have stomach problems. I've seen this many times in people's charts. And the reason being is because they've got too much dryness and too much cold energy in their stomach. It's a precondition. And so they would have to counteract the effect of Saturn. So they would have to introduce more hot foods into their body. Ginger, turmeric, chilies. And so they'd have to go to Ayurvedic.
Cancer the heart, though, and Leo the stomach.
No, Leo's the stomach. Leo's the heart. Leo is in the heart. Cancer is the chest. It rules the spleen, the stomach. Cancer rules the spleen, the stomach, and one more thing. I'm just trying to think. I know. Well, generally the milk of the breast, because Cancer is in the chest.
Yeah.
But Leo is here in the heart and rules the heart and the circulation.
Okay.
Yeah, so again, if you've got, say, Saturn in Leo, badly aspected, this is not good because it's too cold for the heart. The heart needs warmth.
Yeah.
So, and besides, the Sun is in detriment in Leo. The Sun is opposite ruling Aquarius. So Saturn opposite is rules Aquarius. So if Saturn is in Leo, this is too cold. So people with Saturn in Leo, they find they should take a lot of magnesium because magnesium is the cell salt for Leo, and that will counteract the coolness and the dryness of Saturn. So essentially, what I'm saying here is I'm not trying to give detailed information about how to do this. I'm giving the basic tools. The basic tools are we need to understand that the 4 signs, they consist of energy, and energy translates as cold and hot, dry and moist. This is how we need to understand the frequency of energy, the energy vibration. And so what I'm trying to establish here is that all of astrology is based in natural science. Natural science. And so as Bonacci said 800 years ago, we have fire is generation. It's always followed by preservation, earth signs, which is also always followed by air signs, which are corruption.
Why the corruption? The air.
Oxygen. Oxidization.
Okay.
Oxygen in the air. Air is made up of nitrogen and oxygen is an oxidization factor. Air can give you life and breath.
Yeah.
But air also, oxygen also oxidizes. So it is a corruptive element. It's a life sustain. Everything that is good has its totally opposite counteractive effect. Fire gives life generation, but if you put fire to a tissue, it'll totally destroy it, burn it. And so we have both sides of everything, you see. And so following corruption is destruction. And everywhere in nature we see this. We see something is born, it's preserved, and then it's destroyed. So if we go back to our chart here, how much time do we have?
Oh, we still have time. We got 15 minutes.
All right. And then you can hit me with some questions, but I'll just finish with this.
Sure.
And look, Kapil, I would love to be invited back.
Absolutely. We'll do the part 2 of this for sure.
Because you have an excellent audience and you've got an excellent product, and my aim is solely to reach every heart and mind in the universe.
That's what we're doing, Mike.
With this beautiful science. And what's science? In Latin, science is knowledge, because you've got, I'll give you the Latin words, or Italian. Scienza is the same word as science. You can see it's almost exactly the same, because English consists of, 50, 60% of Latin. But if you go, so that's the word for science, scienza. But if you say conoscenza, that's knowledge. Cognizance. Cogniscience. Science. Cognizance, sorry about that, it's terrible, is the same as conoscenza. So when we're learning science, astrology is science, we are learning knowledge. So when people say, oh, do you believe in astrology? I say, no. I know astrology. I know English and speak it, but I don't believe in English. I don't have to believe in it. I learned English. It's a language. Astrology is a language. You don't have to believe in it.
Yeah.
It doesn't require belief. It requires your intelligence and to pay attention. And you'll see that astrology talks the same language as nature. So on the one hand, you worship God, but you deride the science of God manifesting, which is astrology. Well, you're a buffoon then. These are buffoons, aren't they?
Yeah.
So Cancer, Equator, Capricorn. You always do it like this. There's no other way of doing it. The heavens are constructed like this. There is no other way to do the heavens. There is only one way to do the heavens. There it is. That's the key. Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer at the top. Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. And here you have beauty, March the 21st. Do you remember that date?
Yeah.
The equinox is always here. There's the 8. There's the Dharma wheel. Dharma wheel. That's called the Dharma wheel. Dharma is Adama. Adam. This is Adam. This is the science of Adam. We are all Adamites. Or atomites. Atma, they say in the West. Atma. The Paramatma. The super soul. The soul is Atma or Adam. In Hebrew, it's Adam. In Sanskrit, it's Atma. Doesn't matter. In Egyptian, it's Atum. In Greek, it's atom. Because we have an anatomy. Well, anatomy is made up of atoms, yeah? So what we have here is beauty, strength, wisdom. See, where Libra is, where Virgo is, the sun setting is wise. The sun rising is beautiful. The sun in the mid-heaven is strength. And so this is Masonic. This is the royal arch of the Masons, man. There's the equator. There is the equator. That is the solstice. So that's what it is. That the royal arch is nothing but Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra. And that's it. And so there's only one way to construct the heavens, and that's it. Aries. And so this is how I do it all the time, and this is how we should be teaching people, because this is the only way that brings astrology back to nature, back to the natural and to the supernatural. By observing the natural, we see the supernatural. So we observe here and we see here. When you say, I see, you're not seeing with these eyes, you're seeing with the mind's eye. And so which eye are you going to use, the dualistic eyes or the one eye? You see, this is why they put the bindi here, because they want the bindi to connect with the pineal gland so that these people can be illuminated. So we've got fire, earth, air, water. Fire, earth, air, water. Fire, earth, air, water. Aries fire, Taurus earth, Gemini air, Cancer water, Leo fire, Virgo earth, Libra air, Scorpio water, Sagittarius fire, Capricorn earth, Aquarius air, Pisces water. Right, so you've got 4, but the modalities are 3, cardinal, fixed and mutable.
Right.
So, cardinal, cardinal, fixed, mutable, cardinal, fixed, mutable, cardinal, fixed, mutable, cardinal, fixed, mutable. What does that mean? Well, I see it as Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, the creator, the preserver, the fixed signs. They're fixed because they preserve. They fix. If you get married in Leo or Aquarius, or if you get married in a fixed sign, your marriage will last a long time. If you get married in Gemini or Virgo, a mutable, a marriage it will not succeed. At some stage, depending on your chart, that marriage will be dissolved because the mutable signs dissolve things. It's the destroyer. You don't do things you don't do important things when the moon. Hang on. Yeah. Someone's trying to contact me in Skype, and I'll just close Skype because they're going to call back. Okay. So we see the cardinal signs, they're always on the tropical point, and they're the strongest ones. The strongest are the cardinal. So they are the creator signs. Then the fixed signs in the middle of the seasons, they fix the season. So here, Taurus is the middle of spring, Leo is the middle of summer, Scorpio is the middle of autumn, Aquarius is the middle of winter. So the cross-quarter days, that makes the Dharma wheel. You've got the tropical points, and you've got the cross-quarter days in the middle of the fixed signs. So what we have is we've got cardinal, fixed, mutable, which means, to me, it means Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, creator, preserver, destroyer, birth, growth, decay. And then you've got fire, earth, air, and water. Now, Bonacci said, this is generation, and I said cardinal is generation. Then he said earth is conservation. Well, in the Hindu system, it's preservation, creator, preserver, destroyer. Preservation, conservation, and then here you've got destruction, and water is destruction, but air adds an extra component, which is corruptibility. Okay, so you've got generation, conservation, corruption, destruction, generation, preservation, destruction. What does this mean? Well, it's simple. See, every time you think something, it produces a wave. Every time you have an emotion, it produces a wave, and that wave goes away and goes away forever, and it can compound itself and get stronger, or it can get weaker and dissipate. Depends on how much energy you give your emotions and your thoughts. But every so-called particle in existence, which there aren't any particles, they're all waves, every wave does this. It starts, it grows, and then it corrupts and decays. And so what you've got here is you've got 12 different flavors of key signature energies along every ecliptic under the sun in the universe. Everything, every thought, every transaction does this. So Aries fire is cardinal, whereas Leo fire is fixed, whereas Sagittarius fire is mutable. So cardinal fire never repeats. Fixed fire never repeats. It's only here. Fixed fire is only here, which is the middle of summer, or which is the middle of the 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock every day. This is the hottest part of the year and the hottest part of the day. Well, there it is. There's Leo, fixed fire, and every other part of the circle corresponds with the humus, hot, cold, dry, moisture, or the passive or active action of the element or the modality of the element, whether it's cardinal, fixed, or mutable, or whether it's fire, air, water, or earth.
So what you're saying is that, like the analogy of marriage, you were saying somebody, let's say, get married when the sun was transiting in Gemini, which is a dual air sign, versus, let's say, Virgo, which is a earth dual sign. They'll have a different component as to how things will be. It's not like all the dual signs are going to dissolve. It's based on their nature of their earth. Okay, that's what I wanted to.
Yeah, based on their elements. So if you're going to be married in Gemini, and now I've been married twice, and both have failed. And the first time I was married on June the 9th, Gemini. The second time I was married on the 5th of September, Virgo. So you've used, I can speak from experience here. The first marriage lasted 10 years. The second one lasted 9 years.
Wow.
Now, the sun was in Gemini the first time. So Gemini is a very airy, fairy, corruptive element. It's communicative. There's a lot of communication. And so there will be communication in the marriage, and you will have lots of twin good times. But Gemini is all about corruption. So you don't want to be married in June. I say, where you want to be married is May. The May, in the West, May is always the best time to be married, in spring, and it's fixed. And it's the bull, and it's earth. It's going to last forever. That is a marriage that'll last forever. And if it doesn't, it's because something else in the chart requires the dissolution of the marriage. It doesn't mean that everyone who was born under Taurus is going to have a successful marriage. But what it means is it will contribute to the success of it.
Contribute, okay.
But the difference between getting married in Gemini to Virgo is substantial. They both will be dissolved because they're both mutable, and mutable means mutate. Mutate,
yeah.
Right. So, but Virgo will be more solid. There will be more solidness in the marriage because it's earthy, but it will have more of an element, less of communication and more secretive. Virgo is internal, more secretive, more analytical. So there'll be a lot more, a lot more secrets. There will be a lot more analyzing, but it will dissolve nonetheless.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
Wow. So let me then ask you this, because I know my audience is going to be mesmerized. If they want to learn from you, perhaps even get a reading from you, where can they go? I know you have a YouTube channel, Mr. Astrotheology. That's what it's called. But where else can they go? I mean, you have a website too, I'm sure.
Yeah. Universal Truth School is my website. They can contact me through there. It's easy to get my contact. It's public knowledge on, you can just Google it, Santos Bonacci.
You're on Facebook too, Santos Bonacci.
Facebook, and I have a YouTube channel, Mr. Astrotheology. What I recommend is go to the YouTube channel and watch the astrotheological presentations and the astrological presentations that I've done. And they're free, and you can learn an abundance of science. All I teach, there's only one thing I teach. That's science. Transcendental, supernatural, and natural. That's all I can do because I'm natural. That's
who we are. That's it.
That's all we are.
So thank you so much. I'm going to definitely bring you back again. I just want to make sure that I'm able to save this 2-hour-long presentation so it doesn't get disrupted in recording. But thank you so much for coming today. This was amazing to have you here on my channel.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
My pleasure.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Thank you.